shopping for a new house. It's been a while since we've made another video.
Yeah, we've been doing something pretty monumental.
If you have been keeping up with us, and if you saw our last video, which was in Asturias, Spain, you would know that we have been in this process of searching for a home. So what do you think? Should we make it our home?
What do I think?
We can make a happy life here, so let's see if we make that happen. So that's what we're going to talk about today, basically. We're going to get into the details of what it's like to search for a home in Spain. How do you go about buying a house in Spain? How have we been able to live here now? How can you possibly also live here in the future? And how are we going to make it so that we can live here forever?
There are not that many ways to come live in Europe if you're not European. So we had to do a lot of research, and I know it can be helpful to you and many others. In this video, we are going to tell you about the famous Auxiliar program. We're going to talk about getting Italian citizenship if you have Italian descendancy through what is called jure sanguinis,
which also applies to some other sorts of heritage as well.
True. Lastly, we're going to talk about something special for any Latin American, anywhere in Latin America, also like Philippines and a few other places, and how you can be a Spanish citizen as well.
Let's get into it. So let's start talking about the Auxiliar program. I'll take over that because I'm the one who's been the Auxiliar this whole time. It's been how we've been able to explore Spain as deeply as we have. It's given us a home in various different parts of the country for our third year now. Auxiliares de Conversación program, or the North American Language Assistant program, is essentially a teaching assistant job. This job allows for, in my case, a North American, but also people from other natively English-speaking countries to come to Spain and work within the public and sometimes private school system.
On the topic of buying a home in Spain, you get great tax benefits if you're a resident.
Since I am, working here and in the system, I receive that number that makes me a resident here, my tax number, so to speak. In the United States, we know this is the Social Security number.
Here, that number is NIE.
So essentially, being within that program has been really cool because we've been able to live as a Spanish person would. We've gone to house shop during, and we've also just been able to have a nice time during what is a global pandemic.
It's cool because you only work, 20 hours or 12 hours?
It really depends. I know that in some regions you do work more. For example, if you're in a place like Madrid, and I think maybe Valencia as well, you may be working more hours, but then of course you get paid more. Right. But generally you work 12 hours.
With that being said, you have a lot of free time. That's kind of the beauty of it, and that's why a lot of people choose to do it. So we knew that if we came to Spain with this program, got the residency, we would have lots of time to come and really start to see where we want to live and try and find something, because that's almost the hardest part, is finding where you want to live,
So if that's something you would like to consider, the criteria is simply to be, like I said, from a native English speaking country, so hold a passport from one of those places. Be either in your third year of university or have a degree in anything. It does not need to be teaching, just a degree in anything. Be okay physically and mentally, as in be healthy, have a clean background check, and that's about it.
Andrea will answer any of your questions. She is a veteran at this point.
Yes.
The next way is kind of crazy, and it was a long time ago when Andrea initially left me to go to Spain. I was sad, and I had to do a lot of research to figure out how I could come to Europe. Well,
That was crazy.
turns out it's a very long process that wasn't quick and easy. But in the end, we are going to be able to live in Europe because I have Italian ancestry.
Yeah.
And I went back to the early 1900s and found that I basically am Italian because my family members were Italian.
Yeah.
And I was born in a line of Italians that passed their citizenship to me. It's crazy. Technically, I am an Italian right now, but there's just no paperwork to prove it. So I have to give all the paperwork to the Italian consulate, which is what we did recently.
In short, he's got the birthright, which we also talk about in a video where we go to Philadelphia, where he went to the consulate and applied to make it all official.
We're getting closer and closer to your roots.
Max out after his shoulder
Literally.
surgery with an artificial shoulder. Like, okay, like that's just the culture.
As you know, buying a home in Spain means that we want to live in Spain and have babies in Spain and everything else in Spain. But that's not easy to do for an American. And without this Italian citizenship, we could not do so.
Exactly, because if you guys are familiar with the way the European Union works, is they are clearly not a country, but they work together as if they were sometimes.
Yeah.
So if you are part of any of the EU countries, such as Italy or Spain, you can essentially work anywhere you want or live anywhere you want within those countries.
Exactly. We're also going to get healthcare, which is a huge
Yeah.
thing for us.
Universal
because
healthcare.
We're Americans, and that's a controversial issue.
Also affordable education, higher education that is, like universities.
Really, there's a long list of benefits, especially depending on the type of person you are. Some people just want to have it to buy a vacation home or something crazy, you know. But for us, that is how we are going to live in Europe, and that's why we're buying a home. Okay, so the last part, I'm gonna let you take the mic because you have a crazy story that you have to explain first.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So to summarize, as of now in this video, we've talked about the language assistant program, which is the auxiliary program, Tony's Italian citizenship, so that's living in Europe by heritage, which there are other heritages out there that you might want to
Polish,
explore.
German,
Irish that allow you to come over here. And then this one is kind of heritage related, but not entirely, because you don't actually have to have this blood in you, but rather it's about colonization.
She went there.
As many of you know, the Americas in general were colonized by a lot of different Europeans. And I guess in some odd way to say sorry, they gave some rights to certain people from certain American countries, whether that be South American, Central American, and sometimes maybe even North American. The crazy story Tony was talking about is that I was born in Peru.
It's funny because she was born accidentally in Peru.
How accidentally? That's the question that's always asked. Well, basically, my parents were American citizens and they traveled to Peru while my mom was pregnant, and I popped out on January 23rd, even though I was due April 6th. And so by birth, although my dad is Peruvian, so I guess I would have had a chance anyways, but my birthright is to be Peruvian, and I can very easily get my Peruvian passport and be in the Peruvian system because I was born there.
This is where things get really interesting because of this colonization, there's a lot of like bilateral agreements and interesting special privileges that you get. Basically, In short, if you hold a passport from an Ibero-American country, meaning a country that either Portugal or Spain colonized, you can be a citizen of Spain in 2 years. Majority of the European Union countries require you to be there for at least 10 years. I think the next best is 5 years, but nowhere in the European Union can you become a citizen in 2 years.
And not only that, I want to point out that I know a lot of Americans are of Hispanic heritage and might not necessarily have a Latin American passport now because they've never applied for one or whatever. But if your parents come from Latin America, chances are that you have a right to citizenship in those countries because your parents are from those countries or one of your parents is from those countries.
The reason we're telling you guys about these things is because, for one, we want everyone to try and, if you want to, be able to do these cool things like coming to Europe and living, because it's an amazing experience.
There's no reason not to consider this, and with a little bit of research, you'll find some really interesting things about yourself and learn that you can do things you didn't even know you could do. You know, you might think you only have like 15% Italian or 12% Irish, but that might do for you a lot more than you think. So don't sleep on it. I'm sure y'all are dying to know if we decided on this home of ours. Last video you saw that we were highly contemplating whether or not we were going to make this town, Candas, our home. Obviously, there's a lot of reasons, like we said before, as to why we would want to live in Spain or in the European Union in the first place. But one of the biggest reasons also that we're looking specifically in Spain, outside of the culture and whatnot, is that it tends to be pretty affordable, not only for an American, but in general when looking at the housing market.
Also, really, I mean, Spanish citizens enjoy life, and a big part of enjoying life is when things are not unreasonably expensive, right? So we like that part. That makes it very livable for everyone.
And that standard of living is really high. Like, you might hear, oh, an apartment. I don't want an apartment. I want a house. I want a big old house. But at the end of the day, I think the stat that we saw is like a good 60% of Spanish citizens live in apartments.
Totally.
And why is that? It's because, do you really want to spend all of your time inside of your house or home? No.
It's the one and only Digo Double G.
And I think that is when we get down to what it means to have a good standard of life and a good cost of living. So back to the thing that we're going around in circles about. Did we get the home in Asturias?
We did not get the home in Asturias. They didn't even write us back.
Yeah, your loss. But you know what? Everything happens for a reason, because I think we got what is our dream at this point in life. And we're gonna move to Valencia, Spain. Sagunto and Valencia, Spain.
Sagunto was a place that we have dreamed about for like the last year. We found it on the map before we even saw it.
And just researched it. We were looking around Valencia, Spain, which is the third largest city of the country. Yeah. And we knew that we didn't want to live like a big city life, but that we wanted to be near one. We wanted to be near an important city or hub. And so Sagunto is about 20 minutes out of Valencia.
Welcome to your future home.
That's about it. We can, of course, go on and get into details about how that process was, but I think that might be a little long and boring for those of you who don't really care. So if you want to know more, just ask us in the comments some specifics and we can totally do that, as well as we'll leave some links in the description that could help you. And maybe in the future we'll make some more specific videos.
Maybe.
But as of right now, that is this part of life for us.
Maybe we'll make those videos from the new apartment.
Maybe. Well, that's that. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, please ask us any questions about any of this, because
we're really excited.
It's kind of complex things, but it can change your freaking life.
And there's nothing more exciting than sharing what it is you've learned, your knowledge with other people, because if you can make someone else have something better, then why not?
Yeah.
It's exciting to share.
Thanks for watching.
See you later. Bye.
It's like on your wedding day, you wish for rain. Well, on your buying day, I guess you wish for clouds. Okay, what's